What happened to your faith when all that other stuff happened?
It honestly, the best way I can explain it is that it went to the back burner.
Okay, so it was there, but just...
It was there, but it was not my main thing. Sure. It was, I knew it was there. I knew that and I knew in my heart that one day I had to settle and do the right thing. Mm-hmm. And I remember many times in my prayer, praying to God not allow me to die. Before I actually fix things with Him. And I think, just the appreciation, the fact that the Lord spared me through so many things, because even when we're talking, when I was in the police, I wasn't the cleanest of police officers either.
Wow.
I experimented with drugs. I experimented with women. You put on a uniform, an AR-15, and you think you're, God and you, and then every other woman that is around, and you just turn, for lack of a better word, you turn dumb, and the point came in my life when my wife said, I already had 2 kids. And my wife said, well,
Jesus Jr.
I had Jesus Jr.
and Edgar.
And my wife said to me, well, my mom lives in Worcester. You have 2 choices. You can keep your crummy job and everything you're doing, or you can come with us.
Wow.
So
she was leaving.
She was leaving
the area. She didn't want to leave you.
No matter what, she was leaving.
Wow.
With me or without me, she was leaving.
Wow.
And that's when we came to the States. And in the States, that's when I met Pastor Wilfredo Rivera. And that's when my life really started. I was still smoking. I was still, doing my thing. I had already left that life of being with women and all this, all this craziness and weapons and all that stuff, that I was drugs and stuff like that. I had already been able to pass that stage in my life, but I was still struggling with some things. I was smoking. I was still, my mouth wasn't the cleanest all the time. Sure. My temperament, I had a short fuse. Yeah. I had no patience, and the one thing that Pastor Wilfredo did for me was he gave me an opportunity when no one else would.
Yeah. How did you meet him?
I met him at school. My children were going to the same school as his children. Okay. And someone said that he's a pastor, Pastor Wilfredo. And I was going to a Baptist church, and I wasn't really feeling, I was going through the motions. Church, or? Yeah, yeah. And I said one day, where's your church? And he told me it's in Webster. And I said, can I come one day? And he said yes. And from then it was the relationship that.
Now, how soon after that did I meet you?
You met me.
How long had you been going to the church when I went to preach there?
Oh, when you went to preach, I had already been there for about 3 years. Okay. I had already passed that stage in which God had already confronted me with my vices and confronted me with my situations, and I was a complete different person then. And that's when you gave me the word that I remember. That you remember that you said that you gave me, and you told me that, and actually, I think there was a really good connection. Instantly. And
who knew?
I know, right?
How long ago was that?
Gosh, that was. I'm not good. We've friends. I was in West for it's at least 7 years, 7 or 8 years. Yeah. At least 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, I think even, around there. Yeah. Okay, so from being with Pastor Wilfredo, now you have your daughter.
I have my daughter already. Yeah. I've had my daughter. My daughter was in kindergarten around there, fourth.
And when did she start wrapping you around her finger?
Oh, my daughter, the moment she was born. Yeah. The moment she was born. When the first time I remember when I held my daughter, and I put her close to me, and she stretched her arm and grabbed me in my ear. Done. I had nothing else to say. I could not speak. I fell asleep with her in my arms.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And you're a sucker for your daughter too, so don't even.
I am. No. Listen, guilty. I've talked about it here. How my daughter just owns me, and I'm in a way watching you with your daughter now, who's how old is 14? 15 years old. Mm-hmm. That's right. She had her 15. Yeah. Now watching you with her doesn't give me a lot of hope for my future.
No, it doesn't look good for you, but the good thing about it is that so long as they stay close, and they. you know, I still get my butterfly kisses. Like my butterfly kisses. She still sits in my lap and talks to me. And she's still my little.
Today she's sitting on your lap and just
Yeah, we just kind of talk, and she kind of, you know, plays with my little hair I got left. And one time she experimented, actually dyed my hair, and I let her.
Ooh.
Which was incredible.
Wow.
Just to think.
Where was I when that happened?
Oh, you would have enjoyed that. You would have enjoyed it. Beard and everything went black.
Really?
And it was her. She sat me down and said, "This is what we're doing." And I sat down and I took it.
There's a special connection. I mean, I love my son. It's not more love than I have for my son.
No.
It's just a different.
It's a different.
It's a tender.
It's a complete different situation, because I think to a son, the love in my son's, you know, I still kiss them and I still hug them, and they're a very important part of my life, and they're just as important as my daughter, and I love them just as much. But I think that it comes a point for a son in which you have to release him into becoming that man that he needs to become. So at points with love, you have to kind of, you know, press. You know, you gotta press that button. You know, squeeze that a little bit more, and just. Because
we're making men. We're trying to form men.
You're not trying. A little girl is going to be a little girl, and she's going to be 33 years old. And when she comes home with her husband and children, she can become that little girl.
What?
Then.
Huh? Husband, children? What? Is that true?
It's coming, buddy.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
It's coming, buddy.
Oh, Lord. You know, I've made a decision in my life. I'm not sure where I picked this up, but I can't really take credit for it myself. I don't remember who I heard say it, but I made a decision that I'm not. That my daughter is not going to be starved for affection.
Right.
That she's going to need to go and find it from someone. She's going to have plenty of it with me.
Right.
And whoever comes to take her and become a part of our family is going to have to give love the way I give it. So I have to model love the way I want her to.
Well, because
to be treated.
You want the expectation of your daughter to be such in a man that she'll find the right man.
Right.
That she's just not going to hop in the first guy that, or go with the first guy that is going to just show them a lot of affection. If they don't show as much affection as we did, they're not good enough.
They're not good enough.
And that's the most important thing.
Right. And that's why people don't understand it. But when people say you're too soft on your daughter, I'm forming her. She knows she has to obey her brother. I use that word, obey your brother, because he's older than you. Not because he's a boy and you're a girl, but he's older than you.
Right.
And I'm forming her. To be respectful, but when it comes to me, the kind of love that I give her, I correct her when I have to, but most of the time I try to show her, you know, I love you so much.
Right, and it's going to become a time, Pastor Herson, that you're going to have to raise your voice.
Yeah. Oh,
I
have.
No.
More than this?
You haven't.
Oh.
You haven't. There's going to come a point in where you're going to really have to raise your voice, put your foot down, and
Melody,
she's going to cry for days.
Melody, if you're watching this, Pastor Jesus told me to do this to you. Go ahead.
But when that time comes, you're going to be able to. She's going to be able to understand and rekindle into the time in which you guys had together.
Sure.
And it's not going to be that much.
Right.
It's not going to be that much difficult.
We have that emotional equity built up.
Well, exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So she'll be able to tap into it.
Who was it? That leadership book that explains this the best. You know, as leaders, we have change in our pocket.
Right.
You know, and if you gain change as you gain trust with people, you give it up as you lose that trust, and you just don't want to run out of change when time comes.
That's right.
Especially with your daughter.
That's right. Well, we're almost out of time. Fascinating to hear a little bit of your life. Tell me quickly how you went from becoming a member at Wilfredo's church in Webster to becoming a pastor here in Woonsocket.
I had the calling for pastor to be a pastor from Pastor Wilfredo's church. I had the calling, and I actually just came to Woonsocket to help until they found a pastor.
Okay.
And the church and the situation, because of we kind of meshed, and you know, they introduced me as the pastor of the church. I think that, you know, in life, and I hope that people that are looking at us understand that that I had to go to a David time. I have to face my own mistakes and my own doing, and for that, we all need to pay a price because of the mistakes that we made, because decisions that were made that I made at the wrong time. Because if you have a promise for greatness, doesn't mean you're great. And that was one of the biggest, one of the mistakes that I had to learn for the rest of my life, is that because God had called me for greatness, God had called me for to have a great ministry, didn't mean that I was great then. And that's where my person, my individual person made the biggest